The last normal thing Jamal remembered was packing apples. It was March, maybe early April, he couldn't be sure. Time had stopped following rules. He was at the warehouse, hands moving in rhythm, left, grab, bag, tape, repeat. The intercom buzzed overhead with the same muffled warnings about hand sanitizer and not sharing gloves. Someone coughed in the break room and didn't come back the next day. At home, his daughter Mia was waiting with a sandwich she'd made herself. Jamal was proud and guilty, proud she was growing up tough, guilty that she had to. She was 9. She liked spelling bees and hated peanut butter. She had asthma. That was before the coughing started, before the siren stopped passing by and started stopping, before the world remembered his building existed. When the fever hit, it hit both of them. Jamal had already missed 2 shifts. The text from his manager was short. "If you can't come, we have to replace you. No paid leave left." He didn't answer. He couldn't. His chest was too tight. He didn't want to go to the hospital. People like him didn't go unless it was life or death, and even then, it depended on the zip code. The ER near his building had 30 beds and no more ventilators. Jamal had seen the news. Patients waiting in ambulances, nurses crying in parking lots, black and brown bodies stacked in refrigerated trucks. None of this felt hypothetical, so he stayed home, boiled rice, measured Mia's breaths, counted the pills. He saved the good mask for her, the one with the nose clip. A nurse hotline put him on hold for 90 minutes. He fell asleep waiting, the phone pressed against his ear. When he woke up, Mia was curled at his feet like a cat, wheezing in her sleep. He thought about going to the ER then, but he remembered what happened to Raul, his co-worker, diabetic, mid-40s, no insurance, went in for oxygen, came out in a body bag. Took 5 days for Raul's daughter to get a call back from the county. Jamal didn't want to disappear that way. He didn't want Maya to wait 5 days. A week in, their food ran low. He called a mutual aid number he'd seen on a flyer. A woman named Lisa answered. Her voice was tired but kind. She used to be a teacher. Now she coordinated deliveries from a church basement. "We'll get you some soup, rice, medicine if we can. No promises." The next morning, a teenager in a bright orange mask dropped a box outside Jamal's door. Jamal waved through the peephole but didn't open it until the footsteps faded. Inside, canned beans, a carton of eggs, a tiny inhaler. He sat on the floor and cried. That night, the news played quietly in the background. A white anchor with perfect teeth reported that death rates were highest in low-income and minority communities. Jamal turned down the volume. He already knew. He remembered Elena, the nurse who lived 2 floors up. He hadn't seen her in weeks. She used to wave from the elevator in her scrubs. One time she gave Maya a coloring book. "I work in the ER," she said. "Pray you never have to come in." Maybe she was still there. Maybe she wasn't. 2 weeks later, Jamal could finally breathe without counting. Maya had stopped coughing, but she was quieter now, more watchful. They watched cartoons together on mute. Then came the eviction notice. He read it 3 times. The date was real. The amount was real. The threat was real. Jamal had spent the last of his stimulus check on medication. Unemployment hadn't come. The warehouse had moved on. The rent hadn't. He didn't tell Maya. Just folded the notice, tucked it behind the fridge magnet that said, "We got this." He didn't believe it anymore. But she needed to. That weekend, Jamal looked out the window and saw movers 2 buildings down. Men in gloves packing someone's life into cardboard. A child sitting on a suitcase. No masks. He turned away. His phone buzzed. A text from Lisa. "We have extra diapers and PPE. Need anything?" He stared at the screen, typed, "Can I volunteer?" then deleted it. He had nothing left to give. That same week, Elena came home. She didn't tell anyone, just showed up at 2 a.m., shoes off, scrubs in a trash bag. Her grandmother was asleep, the TV still glowing. She sat on the couch and exhaled for the first time in what felt like months. Her hands shook as she unwrapped a foil packet of soup she'd taken from the hospital fridge. She couldn't taste it. Elena didn't talk much after that, to anyone. She slept most days, woke up drenched in sweat. The hospital had offered therapy, one group Zoom session a week. She logged in once. Half the staff cried silently. One nurse just stared off screen the entire time. So, Elena stayed home, watered the plants, reorganized the medicine cabinet, started looking at rental prices in states with lower caseloads. But her grandma needed her, and St. Vincent kept texting. "We're short again. Can you cover Friday night?" She didn't answer. But she didn't block the number either. Downstairs, Jamal stared at the warehouse login screen. His password no longer worked. He'd applied to 3 grocery stores, 2 Amazon delivery depots, and a temp agency that hadn't returned his calls. All wanted immediate availability and proof of vaccination. He had neither. The clinic 2 miles away had walk-in appointments, but the bus routes had changed. It would take 3 transfers. He had $6.42 left on his transit card. Maya's school sent another email. She had missed too many assignments. Jamal wrote back, "We're having connection issues. Please be patient." He didn't mention the broken laptop or that Mia barely spoke these days. The choices pressed in: food or Wi-Fi, Tylenol or Metro fare, pride or a handout. That night, he opened Lisa's text again. "We have extra diapers and pee-pee. Need anything?" He typed, "Can I volunteer?" This time he hit send. 2 days later, he stood in a church basement, stacking bags of rice. His fever was gone. His lungs held steady. Lisa handed him a cloth mask and a pair of gloves. She didn't ask why he came. She just said, "Welcome." Around him, teenagers sorted canned goods. A grandmother packed care kits. A college student took calls in 3 languages. They looked like the city: black, brown, tired, resilient. That afternoon, Jamal delivered a box to a building across town. An old man opened the door. Jamal recognized the look in his eyes, the same one he'd worn 2 weeks ago, stunned that someone had shown up. When Jamal got home, he didn't feel fixed, but he didn't feel invisible. Maya asked where he'd been. He told her. She nodded, then got her crayons. She drew a man in a mask, holding a box. She wrote, "Dad helps people." Jamal smiled. First time in weeks. Elena went back on a Wednesday, not because she was ready. Because she couldn't stop dreaming about the ones she couldn't save. Because her grandma's medication was running low. Because the guilt of resting felt heavier than the fear of going back. She walked into St. Vincent like a ghost re-entering her old life. The lobby was quieter now, fewer gurneys, but the nurses' eyes still held the same weariness, the same quiet grief. One of them hugged her too long. Another just nodded. The break room was smaller than she remembered. Or maybe the world outside had grown so loud that silence now felt foreign. She changed into scrubs, tied her hair, and stepped onto the floor. First patient, 56, Latino, diabetic, coughing blood. Second, 28, black, pregnant, short of breath. Third, 81, white, from the hills, private insurance, demanding a room with a window. Different days, same calculus. Elena didn't make those decisions, but her hands still delivered the consequences. She worked 10 hours straight, didn't look at her phone, didn't think about tomorrow, just moved from bed to bed, voice calm, eyes tired, hands gloved. That night, she sat in the stairwell and cried into her elbow. No one stopped her. Everyone understood. Jamal's first delivery shift started at 6 a.m. He wore the good mask Lisa gave him and brought an extra for luck. The dispatcher barely looked at him, just handed over a device and pointed at a pile of boxes. The orders spanned the city, from Boyle Heights to Beverly Hills. The GPS didn't account for construction or bathroom breaks. No one offered water. No one asked how he was doing. First stop, a duplex back alley entrance, barking dog. Second, a gated house with a ring camera. A voice said, "Leave it at the pillar." No one opened the door. By noon, he had delivered 15 boxes. His legs ached, his stomach growled. He chewed a protein bar and kept going. At 4 p.m., he delivered a meal kit to an address in the hills. A teenager opened the door, mask down, phone in hand. "Damn, I thought y'all were robots now," the teen said. Jamal smiled, tired. "Not yet." The kid shrugged and shut the door. That night, Jamal lay on the couch, Maya asleep beside him, her head on his arm. His feet throbbed, his back ached, but when she mumbled, "Good job, Daddy," he let himself believe it. Not that things were better, but that maybe, just maybe, they were moving. The second wave didn't feel like a surprise, more like a relapse. Jamal heard about it first from Lisa. "They're shutting the clinics again," she said. "We might go back to drop-offs only." Then the news confirmed it. ICU beds full, case counts rising, governors arguing on TV. Another round of shelter in place was coming. Jamal's delivery job was considered essential, again. But this time, the gratitude was gone. No clapping from balconies, no free coffee, just longer shifts, more risk, and customers who wanted contactless service but still demanded smiles. He wore 2 masks now, his own, and the one Mia had drawn a heart on. That week, a protest marched down Florence Avenue. It wasn't just about the virus, or the deaths, or the masks. It was about all of it. The evictions, the layoffs, the rationed health care, the fact that dying poor always felt lonelier. Jamal stood at the corner, a box of groceries in his hands, watching. A woman held a sign that said, "We can't breathe in any system." A child next to her wore a backpack and a KN95. He thought about joining. Just 5 minutes, just to be seen, to shout back at the thing that had hollowed out his year. But his app buzzed. Next delivery due in 7 minutes. He turned away. Elena worked a double shift that night. A nurse called out. Another had quit. The floor was short. Again. A resident brought her a list of names. Patients in respiratory distress. She didn't ask who had insurance. She just took the list. Halfway through her rounds, a protest passed outside the hospital. She heard chants through the window. She paused, placed a gloved hand on the glass. Didn't cry, just breathed, then turned and kept moving. Later, Jamal saw the protest on the news. Police in riot gear, tear gas, a woman screaming into her phone. "He's a delivery worker. He's not even protesting." He turned the TV off. Some fights, he thought, don't need signs. They just need you to wake up the next day again. Still breathing. Winter came like a closing curtain. The numbers dropped. The press moved on. But Jamal didn't bounce back. He still coughed some mornings. Maya had headaches that came and went. She couldn't run like she used to. Her teacher said she was distracted in class. No one asked if her lungs still burned when she climbed stairs. The school had reopened without nurses. The cafeteria served shelf-stable boxes. Jamal packed her a lunch every morning. Apple slices, a peanut butter sandwich, water. Maya still hated peanut butter, but they had no fridge, and it didn't spoil. Elena took a leave of absence, not because she broke, because she needed to not. Her grandmother had fallen, twice. The last time, the ER was full again, not with COVID this time, but with everything people delayed during the pandemic, heart attacks, cancers, collapses. There were fewer sirens now, but when they came, they still stopped. One day in March, Jamal got a letter. Not from the warehouse, not a bill, not a threat. It was from the community clinic. They were starting a long COVID study, looking for people willing to talk, to tell the full story. Jamal almost threw it away, but Maya saw it. "You should do it," she said. So people know. He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no. The system didn't break. It never did. It worked exactly as designed, to protect the few, reward the compliant, and discard the rest quietly. But somewhere between the refrigerated trucks and the protest signs, between the missed shifts and the volunteer boxes, something shifted. People saw each other, not in headlines, in hallways, in hands extended with soup cans and cloth masks. And maybe, just maybe, the way out isn't just better prep, more ventilators, or faster apps. Maybe the way out is to stop pretending this was ever just about a virus and start asking, what kind of world do we keep rebuilding when we already know who it leaves behind? The system didn't break. It never did. It worked exactly as designed, to protect the few, reward the compliant, and discard the rest quietly. But somewhere between the refrigerated trucks and the protest signs, between the missed shifts and the volunteer boxes, something shifted. People saw each other, not in headlines, in hallways, in hands extended with soup cans and cloth masks. And maybe, just maybe, the way out isn't just better prep, more ventilators, or faster apps. Maybe the way out is to stop pretending this was ever just about a virus and start asking, what kind of world do we keep rebuilding when we already know who it leaves behind? If this story moved you, challenged you, or made you see the world a little differently, we want to hear from you. Subscribe to the channel for more stories like this, not just to remember, but to rethink. Leave a comment. What part of Jamal's story felt most familiar? Who does Elena remind you of? Share this with someone who still believes this was just about health, not about design. Together, let's stop rebuilding the same broken system. Let's start telling stories that change it.